Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our powers. Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. I want to say Brakatah Yahweh, Brakatah Yahweh Shai, Brakatah Yahweh, and Brakatah Yahweh Shai. Alright, hey, give it double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that have taught us this truth that are constantly ruling well through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Hey, peace, mercy, and blessings to the beloved Akim that are out there pushing this word wholeheartedly in truth and in sincerity, that are not wavering to the left nor to the right, but constantly staying on that straight and narrow, fighting for your crowns in these last days that we are truly living in. Even shalom to the few sisters, the Akwafs that are out there, and even shalom to the Israelite foreigners, those that may look like the other nations, but their seed line is going back into our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the brother Iraq, coming back with another lesson to the Lord, willing, edified, and feed the lambs of the Lord. And just jumping straight into this, man, you know, we almost out of here, brothers, you know, as well as you little bit amount of sisters, all right? Babylon, which is America, is circling in the drain, okay? And the Lord, all right, which we believe that the Heavenly Father's name is Yahweh, and we believe that his beloved Son's name is Yahweh Shai, okay? They're bringing forth, all right, their words to life, okay? And the promises that they have told us, okay, all right, they're coming to pass, they're happening, all right. So, you know, the Lord right now, hey, he's stirring up our pure minds by way of remembrance, okay. We now understand our errors, we understand why we here, okay. We're now calling back on the true names of the Heavenly Father and his Son, all right. The Lord has given us passage back unto them, all right. And this is all a part of prophecy, okay, because we're at the end of Esau's kingdom, all right. This is why we're remembering ourselves, all right. And the Bible, which is a book that contains our history, it's a book of records, all right. These are our historical accounts that have been proven several times that these events that are written in the scriptures are what, faithful and true, all right. So I want to get Second Peter's the 3rd chapter and the 1st verse. Says, this second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, okay, all right. And you know, we fell away, all right, and the Lord is bringing us back again, okay, all right. And you know, when you go into the word recordari, which is a Latin word, all right, it means to remember or to recall to mind. The prefix is again, and the root core, which is heart, which is etymologically suggested that acts of bringing back to one's heart or deeply committed something to memory, all right. So, you know, the Lord has set up his prophets, okay, the men that have, you know, started and been before, you know, us, all right, and we've entered into their labors, all right. um we're now able to remember ourselves, all right. And this is part of the Lord's mercies, all right. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's mercies, all right, that he is given unto us, okay, all right, because not all of Israel is able to wake up in these last days, all right. They're able to hear these words, they're able to hear them, but they're not able to be healed by them. They're not able to feel the power of them, okay, all right. They're not able to get in to their heritage, okay. They're trapped, they're stuck, they're blocked, all right. They're alienated from this good grace, all right. The water Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, all right, for this blessed knowledge, because you know we can foresee the evil and we're able to hide ourselves in the secret place of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, all right. Let me get Matthew's real fast, chapter 13, and let's start at verse 10. It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given, all right. And this is speaking about other Israelites, all right. Not all of Israel is of the Most High, okay? But the Lord has a cluster. He has a chosen grape that he has spared, okay? And we can be those fruits, all right? We could be a part of that cluster, okay? It says, for whosoever have to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not, from him shall be taken away, even that he have. Let me jump. Matter of fact, let me keep reading. It says, therefore speak I to them in parables, because they see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which said, by hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. It says, for this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Okay, so I want to play this video from Redacted, which they were going in concerning, okay, the fall of Babylon. All right, America circling in a drain. Okay, and we're almost out of here, brothers. Just a little bit longer. Okay, and hold on, keep fighting. Okay, because the Lord is coming through upon his promises. So let's watch some of this. It's a good length of it, so bear with it, but it's some good information. All right, so let's watch some of this.
Right now in Ukraine, and it is bad news for NATO. Russian forces have pushed further into Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region, marking the 8th region that they're about to take control over. Colonel McGregor revealed to us yesterday on the show that Russian special forces have now entered in Odessa, and they have been targeting strikes against military installations and infrastructure. If they occupy Odessa, of course, what does that mean? That means Ukraine becomes a landlocked country with no seaports. And that means Ukraine effectively ceases to be a real country. And then this, Reuters revealing that NATO and Western partners are crafting military options ranging from a no-fly zone to air defense systems that they're going to be sending in. Of course, I think you have the head of the British Air Force, you have the head of the British Army in Ukraine today, meeting there. Like, once again, like, how many more missile systems? What else can you be throwing into this mess right now? So they have security advisors flying into Ukraine still from the NATO side. So a no-fly zone over Ukraine, yeah, that's going to go well. That would mean NATO is officially at war with Russia, among other things. Meanwhile, right now across Europe, there's growing realization that the continent must shoulder more responsibility in this war. European leaders are saying now that they need to independently defend Ukraine and deter aggression. They can't count on the United States anymore. And then Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, says a peace agreement will likely be on the table by Christmas. Christmas, really? We have to wait that long for peace? 40,000 people? I mean, how many more people are going to die by Christmas time until we can get a peace agreement in place?
And we've been saying this for a long time, that there will be no peace, okay? And World War III is definitely going to take place, okay? And the Lord has it to where, Esau's been pushing a lot of disinformation, propaganda, all type of lies. And these Russians are having their way with these Ukrainians, okay? All right, which is further escalation of this major conflict with the US, NATO, and Russia, China, and the BRICS. Okay, and right now they're numbering the Ukrainians that are dying 20 men to 1 Russian soldier. Okay, thousands of Ukrainians are dying. All right, let's keep watching.
Former CIA analyst and outspoken NATO critic and friend of the show, Larry Johnson, just penned a new piece on his website, Sonar 21, about how NATO is losing this war badly, but it's much worse than all of that. And Larry Johnson joins us today from Florida. Larry, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, good to see you. Good to see Natalie. Usually it's just you and me, so yeah, I'm glad you brought the better half with you today.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, it always elevates the show when she's around. It lowers it when I'm around. Larry, great to see you. So, you've been doing some incredible writing, and I want to say that I think what you've been doing, really highlighting, with the mainstream media is totally ignoring this. They're all in, whether it's the BBC, CNN, it doesn't really matter, but most of the European press is fully on board with like rearming NATO, making sure that NATO has enough weapons to be able to funnel into Ukraine. Advisors have been flying into Kiev, meeting with Zelensky on a regular basis. And you made the point in this new piece that NATO is losing badly. Can you talk about some, just on the battlefield specifically, both military and economically here, what we're looking at from NATO's side?
Well, we saw Donald Trump the other day tweet that the fault of Biden was that he forced the Ukrainians to always be on the defensive, except that wasn't true. We go back to September of 2022 when the Ukrainians launched a counteroffensive against Russian positions, and the Russians basically had no military presence to speak of, just some border police, where they were driven out of the northern part of Kherson, which is north of the Donbass. Then in June of 2023, they launched another counteroffensive, and in the process, they lost between an estimated 200,000 soldiers in a failed counterattack that was completely planned and directed by U.S. Military commanders, General Cavoli, among others, sitting in Stuttgart or Wiesbaden. Then in August 2024, Ukraine again launched another offensive into Kursk, and that led to the deaths of 80,000 Ukrainian soldiers. So what we've seen is this repeated pattern where Ukraine is incapable of mounting successful offensives and holding that territory. Russia has pushed back in every single one of those instances. And what's going on right now is what started off in February of 2022 with Russia having about 175,000 soldiers in their offensive into the start of the special military operation. And they were outnumbered about 5-1 by the Ukrainian forces. We now, 3.5 years later, have seen those numbers flip. So that Russia has right now about 650,000 trained soldiers, experienced personnel that have had a minimum 3 to 4 months of training all on the front lines, all along the line of contact from the Sumy region in the north down to Odessa in the south. Whereas Ukraine its army is right now estimated to be about 350 to 400,000. The lopsided losses that Western propagandists continue to lie about what Russia's experienced and ignore the true cost for Ukraine. In the most recent exchange of bodies, where Russia turns over the dead Ukrainians that it has captured or taken possession of, and Ukraine does the same with Russian soldiers, Russia received 19 dead Russian soldiers. Russia, in turn, delivered 1,000 Ukrainian dead. So it's a 20-to-1 ratio. For every one Russian soldier that's dying, there are 20 Ukrainian soldiers dying. And what we see taking place, the demographic changes taking place inside Ukraine are horrific. What's used to...
So, this man right here, Larry Johnson, he's a ex-CIA member. And, the CIA is the Central Intelligence Agency. So, they deal with information, okay? So, the scriptures speak about how that, their tongue shall fall upon themselves. All right, let's get that as well. Okay. See, these Edomites, they're running out of time. All right, and it makes sense why they're setting up all type of psyops and mass shootings, and they're coming down upon Jake, okay, because they're losing money, and war is a big money grab. Okay, so all wars are banker wars. Okay, so hey, things are getting ready to go down real soon. Okay, so brothers, stay locked in. All right, because we foresee that any day now. Okay, let me see, tongue fall. Let me see, any day now. Things are gonna be cracking out here. So this is Psalm 64 and 6. It says, they search out iniquity, they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thoughts. Oh no, that's not it. Okay, I'll keep reading. It says, the thoughts of every one of them, and the heart is deep, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away, and all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doings. All right, and a lot is going on between these different businesses, and a lot of these foreigners. They're now fleeing back to their countries because they can see that America's out of here. Okay, so the different foreign backgrounds of Chinese students and East Indians that are in these doctors and dentist office. Okay, there's a lack of personnel because they're getting the hell out of here, man. This is all a part of prophecy. Every man shall flee into their own country. All right, they see that the American dream is no longer fulfilling the purpose of building up their people, sending money back to their economy and things like that. So they got what they could get, and now they out of here. All right, which is furthering hurt in this place. Okay, all right, this is something that they're not really talking about in the mainstream news. Okay, so let me get another precept. Matter of fact, because I'll get it in a second. Hold on, because there's a little bit more information. I'll get in a second. Hold on, let's go back.
Used to be a country of about 42 million people, is now down to about 28 million. And they simply don't have the manpower to sustain these kinds of losses. Excuse me.
Well, just yesterday, Steve Witkoff, the envoy to the Middle East, who is also negotiating this peace deal, said, well, we expect to have some kind of peace deal by the end of the year. And I felt really frustrated by that language because we continue to come here and we're being breadcrumbed. Like, okay, maybe this is it. Maybe that's going to happen. And we keep getting this posturing. Well, you just pointed out, people are dying. What do we need to happen between now and the holidays?
Simply listen to the Russians. Listen to what they're saying. They're in Roget's thesaurus, they're going to enter a new synonym for the term sycophant. Witkoff. I mean, the kind of sucking up that he does to Donald Trump is just really disgusting. And it's embarrassing. Well, the Russians have been very clear what their conditions are. Vladimir Putin laid it out on June 14th, 2024. It's been repeated ad nauseum by Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, by Maria Zakharova, the spokeswoman for the foreign ministry, by Dmitry Peskov, the spokesman for Vladimir Putin, Medvedev, the former president of Russia. And right now, Russia has said, look, the people in Crimea and Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, and Luhansk voted to join Russia. The people in Crimea did it in 2015 or in 2014. I take that back. And the people in the other four oblasts did it in September 2022. They've all voted to become part of the Russian Federation. They are now, through the vote of the legislature in Russia, the Duma, they are now officially part of the Russian Federation. So those states are not going to be returned to Ukraine in any form, fashion. There's no land deal. There's no offer to, we'll give you this for that. None of that's going to happen because it is legally part of Russia. In the same sense that Donald Trump couldn't show up in Alaska and say, "Hey, Vladimir, I'll give you Alaska in exchange for giving back to Donbass." Not going to happen. That's number one. Number two, that there is absolutely no more NATO activity inside Ukraine, and Ukraine is never going to be part of NATO. Now, these are two demands that Russia will not compromise on. And the West, the notion that the West is going to send peacekeeping forces into Ukraine is a suicide mission. The Russians will kill them. They view that as a threat. Russia's already facing two Aegis batteries, one in Romania, one in Poland. The Aegis missile system normally is on a destroyer, but this time they took them off the ships, installed them on land, and the problem with them is that they are capable of firing a Tomahawk cruise missile, which can carry a nuclear warhead. So essentially, Russia is now looking at having nuclear-capable warheads on its border, one in Poland, one in Romania. That's what Russia's trying to get rid of, trying to disarm, push it back. In the same way that we would react very strongly if Russia decided to deploy nuclear missiles to Venezuela, Mexico, or Cuba. We wouldn't tolerate that for a minute either, but we seem to think we can get away with this. So there's not going to be a negotiated peace deal by December. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen.
I'll get you out of here on this, Larry, about the tariffs. President Trump, in the cabinet meeting yesterday, said, Zelensky's not been a good guy either. He plays that game, and then he said,
Shalaki, let me grab a precept real fast, because you said it's not going to happen, all right, which is very much so, all right? There's no peace, okay? All right, and this is prophecy. Shalaki, I'm eating some pistachios. So bear with me, brothers. Matthew chapter 24. Matter of fact, let me go to let me go to Luke. Luke 21. This is Luke. Hold on. Give me a second, brothers. This is Luke chapter 21 and verse 8. It says, "And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them," all right, because we know and understand the prophecies, duality Yahweh opening our minds of how his return will take place, okay, the second coming, all right, of the Messiah, all right, Yahweh Shai. Okay, it says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified," all right? So we're hearing of commotions, wars, rumors of wars, right? These are all signs of the end. "For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by," because what we're waiting for ultimately is the RFID chip, the mark of the beast, to be made mandatory, all right? And things will roll from there, okay? And we're seeing how the Lord is going to unfold things in the next, few months, how things are going to transpire, all right? But we believe through the Spirit that the time is short, all right? So it says, "Then said he unto the nations, shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famine and pestilence and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven." Let me see, where is it at? I wanted to get where it says right now the nations are in perplexity. Okay, let me jump down to verse 25. It says, "And there should be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress and nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring." All right, and the nations right now are in perplexity. Okay, all right. This is why there ain't going to be no peace. All right, because Yahweh Shai prophesied of it, that the nations were going to be in a state of perplexity where they were going to have to fight. Their durst to fight. The Spirit of the Lord is on them to keep fighting, to keep antagonizing one another, okay? All right, this is all the Spirit of the Lord. All right, the word perplexity is
Strong's G 640. Aparia.
aparita. All right, which let me see, perplexity. I know there's something else. Perplexity. Yep, to be without. Here it is. To be without resource, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn. Okay, you know, you got Vladimir Zelensky looking to the U.S. and to NATO for more help. All right, this is why they're, you know, making more adjustments and trying to send more things to help, but it's in vain. Okay, the Russians are taking back their territory. All right, it says to be at a loss with oneself, be in doubt, not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed. All right, so these other nations, all right, are in doubt. They're perplexed. All right, they're losing resources. Okay, a lot is happening. All right, and also what is taking place is also affecting the U.S. as well. The U.S. is being affected. Let's grab this. Let's watch some more, and I'm going to grab Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, and pretty much close it out from there.
He said, you know, willing to put tariffs against Ukraine in order to get them back to the table and make sure that they're involved in this peace process. Would tariffs work against Ukraine? As you pointed out, the population is down to 28 million. They're massively indebted to the IMF. The country is on its last legs as it stands. What would tariffs do?
Nothing. I mean, Donald Trump has it fully in his power. All he has to do is stop sending them money, stop sending them weapons, withdraw the CIA and military advisors that are in country, and also tell Zelensky that he's not going to have a visa to the United States to enjoy his property in Vero Beach. The whole notion that Trump has any leverage with using tariffs or sanctions against Russia, which he's also threatened to do, is just laughable. What we've learned in the course of the last week, and this is why I wrote the article about NATO is losing against BRICS dramatically. All of the major countries in NATO that are the major economies have a debt to GDP ratio of at least 100% or greater. What that means is every day, if you make $100, but you're spending $125, that means you're $25 in the hole. Now do that every day. Well, the next day you're $50 in the hole. Next day you're 75. Next day you're 100. And then it keeps growing. That's the United States. We're 125 to 100 to 100 debt to GDP ratio. England is a little over 100 to 100. It's 1 to 1. France is 110. What this means is they're spending more money than they can take in. Whereas there is not a single country in BRICS, none of the BRICS nations have a debt to GDP ratio that's lopsided. Instead, in Russia, it's 19%. So that means, 19%. And
I had no idea that. I mean, every BRICS nation is poor, or every NATO nation is poor.
Yes.
And no BRICS nations are.
No.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it is. And the other aspect to it is when you look at the economic growth, right now the average economic growth for BRICS, all the BRICS countries combined, 3.6, 3.7%. For NATO, about 1.2%. So, here's NATO making all these big promises about, boy, we're going to spend all this money and we're going to pay for these weapons, and they're broke. The United Kingdom and France are both talking about having to go to the IMF for bailout loans because they are in such desperate economic straits. Not a single BRICS country is in the same position. So, and then just we went over the sort of interesting tariff note on, four key examples. One, U.S. shipments of propane to China at zero. They've dropped off the table in 2025. It used to be a $4 billion industry. U.S. soybeans, which used to be we were a major supplier to China. China's cut that off. It's now buying from Brazil. Coffee. the coffee that the United States imports from Brazil, it's going to cost us a lot more because Brazil's selling it all to China now. And then yesterday you heard Donald Trump talking about, oh, we're going to have 600,000 visas for all these Chinese students to come back. Gee, why are they doing that? Because the number of American colleges that depended upon Chinese students who paid full freight coming into the country, they're not coming anymore. And Trump has hit too late. What he was reacting to pressure he's received from all these U.S. collegiate and university colleges and universities. So the whole tariff thing is backfiring on Trump. And then India has just told Trump to go pound sand. That no, we're not going to stop buying Russian oil. We're going to buy more. So the Trump foreign policy on this is just becoming a disaster.
Well, in fact, I looked this up because recently BRICS had a conference and said that BRICS countries are responsible for upwards of 45% of global GDP.
Correct.
But when you compare that to NATO countries, it's 30% or less.
Correct.
So it's clear who the heavy hitters are here, and it's not us. And unless we realize that and start playing nice with others, we're going to continue to circle the drain. Is that the point that you're making?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave it right there, but let's grab that Jeremiah. All right, we've been saying this for years. Babylon is gonna be up out of here. All right, and it's circling in the drain. Okay, so yeah, we're living in some beautiful and some very terrible times. All right, but Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, hey, he got us. Okay, let me get Jeremiah 51 and verse 6, it says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. All right, the Lord's plans are to destroy this place. Okay, and he's going to use the other nations. The spearhead is the Russians. All right, that is the bear, that is the feet of this place, which the feet represents the end of a thing. Okay, so we're witnessing the end of Esau's age. All right, their time is coming short. Okay, all right, so time is moving. All right, and it's not moving for the benefit of these Edomites. It's moving for the benefit of us. All right, that are out here sincerely serving Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. The Lord has not forgot about us. The Lord is making due upon his promises. Okay, so it says, this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Okay, Babylon is getting ready to get paid back for all that she has done unto the Lord's people. All right, it says, Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken off her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. All right, so the little bit that Babylon is offering to these other nations, okay, they're going to weep. They're going to wail. They're going to cry for the liberty and the things that they couldn't do in their own countries and the money that they were making over here. All right, they're going to wail because of this place. All right, but they're also going to be mad. Okay, because they've been lied to as well. All right, they've been deceived as well. Okay, all right. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. All right, so there's no healing this place. There's no balm for this place. Okay, all right, so this place is out of here. Babylon is getting ready to fall, and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, all right, is getting ready to make, all right, things happen. All right, all for us. All right, so brothers, stay locked in. You know, stay prayed up. You know, keep the faith, keep fighting. You know, and then keep trusting in Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We don't have that much longer here, you know. Matter of fact, I'll end it with one more scripture. Let me see. That I'm thinking about. It was something that I posted earlier in the community section. But what I did is I took a screenshot of it. All right, which I've seen this today, which is the verse of the day. Deuteronomy 31:8 says, the Lord himself will lead you and be with you. He will not fail you or abandon you. So do not lose courage or be afraid. All right. So y'all brothers stay strong, stay prayed up, stay up. Okay, we almost out of here, man. Let me get out of here. You know, people coming by now. So, Shalom, Akim. Lord, when you edify, Shalom.